Batavia down! With more, lots more!
Folks, welcome into the show where it is not about wrestling with your conscience. It's not about wrestling with your budget. It is wrestling with emotion. And we got our panel in here, some of the usual suspects. We got myself, Slick L, Slick Saturday. We got the voice of reason, Ernie Green. And we got the head of the table, Michael J. Partham. Hope we are having a great week, boys. We're officially at Hump Day. Let's get into it with some of the storylines that have been going on this week. First, the one that we kind of got dirt sheet tipped about. I don't know if there was like massive, if a lot of people knew about this a week plus ago, but I know it definitely was surfacing last week once they turned on him. Rollins vacating the World Heavyweight Championship. A very tough year for the World Heavyweight Championship so far. Parthy, why don't we start with you and then go to Ernie? What were your thoughts on how this was handled, portrayed with the potential Bronson takeover, and what are your thoughts on? I guess we'll get into the later part of it, but how they're transitioning now to Jay and CM Punk.
Well, I mean, we didn't really know for sure. I mean, given Rollins' recent history, even I was suggesting that there was a lot of vagueness surrounding this recent report of an injury at Crown Jewel with Seth Rollins in his match with Cody Rhodes, specifically the coast-to-coast headbutt, which, looking back on it, was a little bit ill-advised for him to do it in that manner. He went head first and he landed on his shoulder instead of going feet first like, Rob Van Dam and Shane McMahon before him. But regardless of whether, hindsight is 2020, what happened. They were being very vague about and guarded as far as what the dirt sheets were able to report on what the nature of the injury was, which was not unlike what happened right before SummerSlam. So all the bells and whistles started to go off in some of our heads. But once basically Adam Pearce said he was going to make an announcement about Seth Rollins, and once he basically came out and said, I'm officially stripping him of the World Heavyweight Championship, then, of course, the reality is setting in. As far as the bronze, they did what they had to do. They did what they were going to do, but of course they did it months and months earlier than expected. But, I mean, Braun Breaker is that breakout star. I mean, why not just strap the rocket to him? But obviously they're choosing to go in a different direction other than what people were predicting once that happened, is put him in the Royal Rumble and have him just go win the title. They're not going to do hotshot him that right away, which is kind of curious because that's essentially what they did with Stephanie Vaquer once Naomi essentially was stripped of her World Heavyweight Championship under different circumstances, of course. But this is a bigger overall arcing story the Vision have with the Bronze and Paul Heyman. So maybe they want to play things out a little bit more than just strap the title right onto Braun and then go from there.
What's wild to me is like the spider web of people that this affects, because usually like, hey, someone goes down and that's it. But this injury affects not only Seth Rollins, but it affects the Vision. They obviously turn. It affects Roman Reigns. It probably affects Brock Lesnar. It affects CM Punk and all this stuff. Like, it is absolutely wild, like how many plans they have to change or alter because of this injury. Like, I bet the War Games is going to be absolutely nothing like the original plan. The timing could not have been worse for WWE, in my opinion, in that regard. I'm interested in seeing what happens in the title match. I'm going to make the prediction now, a week ahead. I don't think we're going to see a winner in the title match on Saturday night's main event. Mm-hmm. I think the Bronze are going to wreak havoc and cause a no contest, which goes into something else. I think the thing that they're going to work on the most is just like having the Bronze just disrupt things. And I think that's going to be the main storyline moving forward, to where they're not even going to allow a champion to be crowned because they're just disrupting. I can see that happening for a few weeks, if not longer. So I think that this is just, I can't imagine how many plans this has altered from now until after WrestleMania. So to see what they come up with in the fly is going to be interesting, because in terms of like just wreaking havoc on the next 6 months of WWE, there's not a single injury that could have done more to alter the course of history than this one has.
Yeah, great points, Ernie. I mean, it seems like they did dodge a bullet in the first case, like Partham said, with the dirt sheets there. We kind of had a word of it. This one, like, I feel like we knew we all knew the knee was the possibility, obviously, because they used it as a storyline in the first bit and had to convince us otherwise that it might not be until it wasn't. But yeah, this one's kind of out of left field, the shoulder, from what we're gathering, I guess. Yeah, it couldn't have messed up quite literally more storylines than it did. I think that War Games match, like you said, Ernie, is going to be a shit show. I think we all were of the consensus that people were going to align against the Vision, and the Vision were obviously going to have a couple more in help. But I think that would be interesting, the Bronze kind of holding protest to this going forward. I am happy that they decided to keep them out of that battle royal, but as far as where the world heavyweight title picture goes from here, I mean, I know we have somewhat of a thing going forward, Maniac, but a lot up in the air in terms of storylines they probably already had laid out for Seth Rollins in the Vision going forward, and it just sucks that they had to have that ending, which was actually a really good turn when you break it down, like how it was executed. We just know as fans, probably in the minority, that it was way too soon.
Yeah, it was a little too soon for sure. And my heart goes out to Rollins. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time championship reign has been stopped by injury for him. With that said, there will be a Dolph Ziggler out of all this. And what I mean by that is I think it was the 2014 or 2016 Survivor Series when Roman Reigns got hurt and Dolph Ziggler kind of infamously got Roman Reigns' spot in that main event when he took down the Authority.
The Authority.
Yeah, and everybody was Sting. So I'm wondering, is that going to be Sami Zayn, who now gets reshuffled into an eventual WrestleMania title run? Is that, like, what do you guys think? Who could be the biggest benefactor? I think, obviously, in the short term, it's probably CM Punk, who's probably going to win the title and the Saturday Night Main Event. But I kind of think that was the plan anyways, right? Like, at some point, CM Punk was going to give Seth Rollins his come up. Like, Seth Rollins had gotten so many over.
I agree with you there, but I don't think it was going to be as soon as Saturday night's main event.
No, it was going to be like Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. But I'm just saying, in the big picture, who do you think stands to actually, because Ernie made a great point, like, this is going to affect a lot of superstars. This is going to affect a lot of storylines the next 3 to 6 months. Is Sami Zayn the ultimate, like, benefactor out of this potentially? Is it someone like, you know, Jimmy Uso, who's getting talked about potentially refereeing a main event at WrestleMania between Jey Uso and Roman? Like, what is this?
Well, whoever benefits from this ultimately, whether they're a heel or they'd have to have a heel turn, because essentially, if you're going to take Seth Rollins' place, you have to be the heel of Raw because he was the main heel of Raw with his, of course, Braun and Braun security to back him up. Braun Breaker could be the main heel of Raw, but he's still young. They're still trying to bring him along. I think Jay could obviously benefit from this because they're going with this, you know, harder edge Jay, you know, being influenced by the tribal chief personality of his. I don't know if it means a full-on heel turn or just an anti-hero Jay, but I think that's one of the reasons they put him in the match with Punk. Obviously, you know, there hasn't been a one-on-one between Jay and Punk. Obviously, they fought in the triple threat for the #1 contendership in the Fatal 4-Way for the title of a month back or two. So they have come to blows, but not one-on-one. And I think with this storyline arc between Jay and Jimmy, and of course the tension with Roman, and Roman says he doesn't want to see him until Christmas, they must think that there's more of a story there to tell, whether or not Jay wins the title or anybody wins the title, as opposed to a lot of people's advocating for LA Knight because he'd be a fresh face for the title picture, as it were.
You know, this is a commentary on American professional wrestling. There are so many very talented professional wrestlers who are on the injured list right now, on the shelf in general, in both major organizations in the United States, AEW and WWE. I am begging literally anybody on the roster to have the balls to just grab that spot and take over. I feel like the only person who is trying, who hasn't been in the main event picture, like LA Knight's had title shots. I'm not putting, he's in a more veteran category, but there are no young wrestlers who have the gumption like old Hunter Hearst Helmsley or Stone Cold Steve Austin or Goldberg, or just somebody just to grab that, proverbial.
You gotta grab that brass ring, damn it.
I don't know, whisper the dirt.
It's a lame term, but it is what it is. Like, the only person I see even trying to is Braun Breaker, and I think, he's going to be a main star. It might be just a little too soon for him, but at least he's trying. Like, I am begging somebody to just stand out and take there's so many spots right now in AEW or WWE to bully your way in the main event picture if you have the gumption, and nobody is taking that and is annoying the absolute you know what out of me. And
Well,
okay,
Ernie,
I'm done ranting.
keep in mind there are other people that were going to grab that proverbial brass ring, but then they're going down one by one like flies too, because Jacob Fatu is another guy right along with Braun Breaker. Everybody's predicting that's a future WrestleMania main event, and then now Jacob Fatu's been sidelined for God knows how long. Naomi was just finally finding her spot in the women's division and on the verge of a great title run, and now she has other things in life that she has to take care of. Chad Gable, people were getting Chad Gable is getting over with he was El Grande Americano, let's be honest, boys.
Oh,
but then he has his own shoulder issues to deal with, and somebody else has got to step in.
that's a conspiracy.
Whatever.
Who would be a great top heel final boss type character for Monday Night Raw to get them through the next 6 to 8 months? AJ Styles.
Really? You want to do an AJ Styles heel turn in his retirement
that's the only way.
You want to do John Cena with him.
Get him you could get him a world heavyweight title. Like I'm saying, you could get him like a run out on top. Like he could go out on a a WrestleMania main event versus like a CM Punk or something.
But now that he's announced his retirement in the next year or so, you're going to get a warm welcome for him in all the places that he goes, not unlike John Cena. And it's going to make it much more difficult to do any kind of heel turn with him because people aren't going to want it. They're going to want to send AJ Styles off with a cheer and a farewell, like they tried to do with John Cena, which sort of killed the whole heel turn in the first place.
Yeah, but AJ Styles would actually have a good reason for turning heel. He'll say, I'm going to do what John Cena couldn't, and I'm going to retire with a WWE Championship belt.
Rehashing the same angle again.
It's not. That's an entirely.
It's exactly the same angle. Retire with the belt.
He's going to do what he couldn't. That's the whole point.
Exactly.
People threatening to retire with the WWE.
Listen, there's been no shortage of entertainment so far. We know you love entertainment.
Real quick. I think they kind of have dropped the ball with Rusev's angle with Dom, and then in the Battle Royal last night, just another AEW guy coming back to the Fed to get treated like Dookie. But you know what I think is Dookie? This matchup. Again,
real quick, before we get into this matchup, do you want to talk about the entertainment we have on tap this weekend at Batavia Downs?
Batavia Downs! More, lots more!
Premier entertainment destination. We will be there Friday night. We've got a Roswell Park amazing event that will be taking place there at Batavia Downs. All roads lead to Batavia Downs, as well as Sabres game, World Series game, and more. So come join us in the fun at Batavia Downs. Now, Slick, you can get back to you're a little upset about this, J-Buck. I'm not eating. Bertie said they're not eating. They're saying
I think I got it off as pretty quick. Again, so soon. I think I will give this to Partham though. I think you were the original one to bring up this idea that Jay could go heel in this, win the belt, and then we could. I don't think you said the down the line aspect of Jay Roman. You might have. I correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, I think that angle is very possible and would actually be entertaining, and one of the only few ways that I'd be happy coming out of this matchup, because we just haven't seen something like that in terms of Jay Roman before, where obviously the roles are reversed from what we saw in the right-hand man days. But obviously premature on this. I get their backs are against the wall, but here we are. And my inkling tells me that they're going to, after all that's said and done and what has happened, they're going to want to put this on Punk here, but I really hope it's the latter and we get something different in a Jay heel run.
Well, Ernie mentioned, go ahead, Ernie.
Mine in the middle one, my bad. The one thing they haven't really touched on lately is any type of bloodline drama, and I think the product has gone down because of it. The bloodline was a top probably 5 to 10 storyline of my lifetime, and this can extend the bloodline drama. Don't forget, Jimmy turned on Jay because he was afraid that Jay would turn into Roman. Now we have literally a scenario where Jay could turn into Roman, turning heel, defeating Punk, and then who has to come back and right the wrong? Roman. There are so many layers to a possible just amazing storyline between Jay, Jimmy, and Roman, which could lead through WrestleMania. other than that, I'm not like I do not want to watch face Jay versus face Punk. Somebody wins, they shake hands and kumbaya bullshit.
Yeah,
quick,
I'm
real
against
would
that
quick,
too.
suck.
real
The
What
quick.
are
only
the
two-
odds that we? What are the odds that we get a moment in some kind of Roman Jay match where Jay is beating him up so bad that Jimmy begs him to stop, and Jay does the Bizarro version of what Roman did and puts
Yes.
In the Hell in the Cell
Jimmy
match.
in. Like
Yeah.
I hate to see it. I
That
think
would-
those
that
are
would- that would be
pretty good
amazing.
odds on that situation.
Real
Yeah.
quick, that's
Yes.
extremely high praise, Ernie. Top 5 storylines of the lifetime. And also, you said it. What did Jay mention on Raw on Monday, too, to Jimmy in the back? He was very adamant. It seemed very heelish when he was like, the tribal chief ain't here. You know that better than anyone knows that. It
Yeah.
seemed like he was pretty certain he didn't want him in the building, if he was sure or not. I don't know how you feel,
Absolutely.
Parthi.
I think that you guys agree with me really quickly. The only two acceptable endings for this match to me are Jay winning and turning heel, or the Bronze coming and just completely ruining the match and just ending the match in this complete calamity. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Who real? This
Or-
is.
or
I want
you-
to put everyone on the spot here because this just came to my brain. Who has been since 2021, since full-time crowds returned post-COVID, yada yada? Who has been the most dynamic, must-see wrestler who's been wrestling relatively full-time during that period?
Dynamic in crowd response and popularity.
Yeah,
and match
like the whole
quality.
aspect of being a superstar, entrance, gotta see it, backstage segment, gotta see it,
You'd have to say Roman Reigns.
random clip you see on the timeline, gotta see it. Is it Jey Uso?
Dynamic.
no,
I was gonna say
Jey Uso's only
Uso.
been coming on recently. I have to say
Yeah,
Roman
no,
Reigns
wait, how long? What was your timeline, Maniac? What was your timeline?
since
Like
2021.
2021 to 22 start.
Oh my goodness,
I'm-
Jey Uso.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to when he was in the matches with Roman, then when he was giving Sami Zayn the reactions all of 22, 23, like
segments
I
in
don't know,
ring.
I know I'm a little numb on this idea of Jay and Punk, but Jay definitely deserves to be in this spot.
Segments in ring, segments backstage, wrestling, entrances, everything.
Wrestling.
He's had it all. The past.
Listen, I like Jay fine, but wrestling quality?
Oh, so now we don't
No.
like the Usos. What does this come to?
There have been a lot of criticisms of Jay's match quality, with the exception
he's
of
not
when he's
the
in the
most
ring with guys like Gunther.
He's not the most Oh, give me a break about Gunther. You mean the baby that taps to Jay? I mean, Jay's not the most versatile in the ring, but he's entertaining to watch. I think we can all agree on that.
Speaking of entertainment,
He's entertaining to watch, but sometimes his in-match quality leaves a little bit to be desired.
I mean, it's just repetitive. He does the same moves. But if you want to have that argument, we could just go to Cena,
saying Roman
to
is still
Lesnar,
until
Hogan,
he broke away
Taker.
from the bloodline and
okay,
started doing his
let's
heat
go around.
entrance.
Let's go around
Roman
the
was a
horn
step
real
above
quick.
him.
I want to put a button in the WWE talk, and this is a good time to do it. Who is the best wrestler right now to have a match with in WWE? Who is going to put you over and make you look the best, and everything is going to go well?
Right this second, John Cena.
I was going to say, is it Roman?
Well, if he was around, maybe.
Yeah, he's not around. Okay, so it's
I
John
just think
Cena.
the matches that Cena's having, the magnitude that they all have, and the moments that are happening.
Yeah, he's doing a good job with the moments. Like when he came up to Cody Vader at SummerSlam, that shit was so stupid. But
With him,
amazing.
oh my god, yeah, I couldn't believe my eyes.
All right, speaking of entertainment, we got a lot of entertainment this past week in the form of Wrestle Dream. Parthi, I know you've been a little down on the AE dub of it all. So what'd you think of this performance by them? What'd you think of this show?
It's not about the matches because they always have athletic, exciting matches in and of themselves. The challenge is getting people to care about it, the characters, the storylines. If there's angles and there's storylines. Angles happen from one pay-per-view to the next. Storylines happen multiple pay-per-views, multiple PLE events over weeks and weeks and months. So, I mean, with the exception of Jon Moxley and Darby Allin, everything else was either a rematch, and even Darby and Moxley was a rematch, or it was more of a hot shot, like Hangman Page and Samoa Joe, which obviously they're continuing now with Joe's, not just Joe's heel turn, but the rest of the Ops heel turn. They were limited with what they could do between Darby Moxley in the main event because of where they were in St. Louis. They have their athletic commission that says no blood, no going into the crowds, et cetera, et cetera.
No going into the crowd is interesting. I don't know if I've
Yeah.
ever heard about that one.
Yeah, but they did what they could in a hardcore situation. I think that was to their benefit because they essentially had the same match, which was originally scheduled to be Darby Mox in the main event of All In. So they had to think of alternative ways of upping the violence, which was interesting for them to use a fish tank, and everybody's saying, where are the piranhas if you're going to go all the way? But it was interesting to see Mercedes and Statlander, Mercedes and Statlander interacting, and obviously they're going in a direction of a title shot, which has all sorts of different directions they can go with that. There's one or two interesting things to come out of this pay-per-view, but overall it's more of a for me, at least.
I think that's fair. You mentioned Samoa Joe, obviously, who had some great run-ins with Kurt Angle back in the day. So let's transition real quick over to our train wreck trivia presented by Batavia Downs.
Batavia Downs! More, lots more!
And if you were wondering where I was going with that, yeah, I snuck up the image here of one of the greatest images in wrestling history.
I can't believe that's not photoshopped.
Unbelievable. It looks like the best
Not
comment
AI.
I saw was that it looks like a Make-A-Wish kid got to be with
It does. It really does.
So,
Or like
on this day, I see clearly. But also 8 years ago at WWE TLC, we got Kurt Angle subbing in for Roman Reigns on the Shield as a member of the Shield in a handicap match against 5 competitors. Name the 5 competitors they faced.
McIntyre was one, right?
Not McIntyre.
the Big Show in there.
Big Show, no.
Damn.
It'd
have to be a heel team because they were baby faces at the time.
I was very out at this time.
A tag team and three randos for the most part.
Was the Miz involved? Because they attacked the Miz like when they became the Shield.
The Miz was involved.
How about
was he with R-Truth?
Third of the 3 randoms.
No, R-Truth.
How about the Good Brothers? Is that the tag team?
Not the Good Brothers.
Was it
yeah.
Was Mr. Perfect's kid one of them?
Not Mr. Perfect's kid.
I'm trying to think of who. I remember the Shield attacked like 4 of them when they returned, and then they triple power bombed Miz. I'm trying to think.
Think of the big monster heels in like the mid 2010s.
Oh, Braun Strowman.
Braun Strowman was one of them.
Who else would have been a big?
This guy had a corporate gym membership for a time, but then he was a bit more demonic in the locker room.
Oh yeah, Kane was one.
Kane was one of them. Now the last one is this tag team, which was very WWE-esque. They had a bunch of matches against each other, and they're like, you know what, we need to be a tag team, and they had a pretty good run.
Sheamus and Cesaro.
Cesaro and Sheamus, the Bar.
Wow.
So it was the Bar, Kane, Strowman, and The Miz in a handicap match versus these 3 at TLC 8 years ago. You know, the product hasn't changed too much when you think about it like that, for sure. But we roll on with the rest of the talk. That trivia brought to you by Batavia Downs. So at the end of the day, bottom boys, Ernie and Parthy. Wrestle Dream, I don't know, Ernie, how much you've seen of it, but does it move the bar for AEW at all?
Well, you know, it just cracks me up when Tony says we're family friendly. Like, the reason why I like AEW is because they're not family friendly.
Yes.
Like, they do a bunch of crazy shit. Like, I mean, was the fish take spot a little too much? Probably for the thing that cracked me up was Amanda Huber, who the wife of the late Brody Lee, who I absolutely love, and I've met Amanda, and she's great too. She's like, my kids were in bed, so it doesn't matter what happened. I'm like, well, man, I hate to tell you, but there's this thing called the West Coast. That did not happen at midnight. That happened at 9 p.m. So kids could have possibly been up. So it's like,
there's this thing called social media that they can watch it on later if they have their own phones.
Sure. Exactly. Like, I mean, you can't, like, my issue is this, like, Tony booked for the sickos, and that's okay. Yes, 100% agreed. But the sickos do not want family-friendly entertainment. So don't say both, because they're not both.
I agree. They're definitely trying to have their cake and eat it too with the
it's like they have
family
spots where
environment.
people are getting like syringes in their neck and things like that.
I'm sure some business advisor is telling hey, Tony, the easiest way to get ticket sales up is if we get families of 4 to 6 coming into these AEW events.
That's what they're
No doubt
marketing,
about
that
it.
they're affordable for families.
That's
Yeah,
what they
like
mean
you
by
said- like
family
you said,
friendly.
the
Is
problem
their
is they
price
niche
more,
themselves
not so much
as a
their product,
sicko.
but their price. But of course, when you have family friendly prices, you're going to invite families in. And what kind of product are you showing them?
Yeah,
Well,
I think
the
they've done-
whole
well,
wrestling sphere is incorrectly priced at this point.
I think
Yeah.
they do a better job, though, at least now, maybe, of keeping that stuff off like the national television. Obviously, the pay-per-views in AEW's aspect have still been wild, sicko shit, and you still get a death match every now and then on Dynamite.
Yeah, like I remember in the it wasn't even the peak run of what they're doing or like one of the most iconic moments, but that one Dynamite that just ended with Cody Rhodes doing a moonsault through a flaming table.
Yeah,
like
that
I
was-
just remember being like,
Suplexed
Raw,
Andrade.
Raw would never.
Never.
Raw would never.
I mean,
And,
maybe
like,
in the
that's
90s.
and I was like, that's why I love you, AEW. Like, so yeah, I mean, they just need to stick to what they're. I agree with you 100%. On it. They either have to decide that, you know what, we are for 18 plus, and maybe, you know, like the occasional family will just shield them from that product. You cannot say you're for the family if you're dunking people's heads in fish tanks at like 9 p.m. on the West Coast. This does not go that way for sure. But obviously, like you guys said, we kind of had a pay-per-view that didn't have a ton of climactic endings. We did have what the Ops did a fake out with like Hangman Adam Page where they acted like that. Like that's one of my least favorite angles in all of wrestling. I hate to say when the loser acts like they're going to be a good sport about it and then they just aren't after losing. Like, I don't know. It just feels like a little lame duck to me. But what's on deck with AEW? What are you guys looking forward to most tonight? What are you guys looking forward to most going forward in the AEW Dynamite of it all?
Well, let's see what we got going on. We have the Ops.
Yeah, I'm
versus
about
Hurt
to
Syndicate
pull
in
something
the-
up. First of all, I just want to say, guys, how did we miss this? Tony Khan was live 5 hours ago. Is he so back? Like, look at this.
He might be back.
He's been live a few times recently.
A 5-minute live. just
And
on his
for him to
balcony.
just caption it, Tony Khan was live.
Yeah, dude, it says nothing else. Like, it's just that. So this is exciting. AEW Women's World Tag Championship bracket revealed tonight. We've already got a 4-way tag for possibility to be the first inaugural women's tag team champs in AEW.
Wait, no, that would have to be for like a bye or something like that, or a top seeding or something.
Winning
to
duo
that
will
effect.
pick their first opponent in the women's. I said it was still good.
Okay, there you
They're on their
go.
way.
Yeah,
But
So
yeah,
something out of it.
Tony's probably telling his advisors AEW is doing its best numbers when I was
Oh,
unhinged
we'll
on
get to that.
social.
This one too, Maniac, is going to be a banger.
Yeah. Bandito
Bandito
Okada's
versus
gonna,
Okada for the United Championship. We
Okada's gonna be
expect
like, get out of here, bitch.
Okada to retain.
I still can't believe DG's in the Death Riders sometimes.
It is.
Okay, guys, what's your prediction coming out of Moxley tapping relatively quickly to a sharpshooter of all things in a hardcore match after, you know, all this, oh, you're not going to quit and I'm not going to quit, so where are we at there? And then he just quits in a regular move, not even like he got tortured to death. Like, at least at All In, he got hung by a chain by Hangman, and you could see him hanging on for a little bit, and then he taps out. Here, he went Gunther. He went Gunther. He tapped out relatively quick. He said,
wasn't that because they had to go home because of time constraints?
It could have been. It could have been because I was absolutely shocked at how normal the ending was based on how repulsive the entire match was up until that point in terms of sicko stuff. So yeah, I thought it was relatively tame.
Do you think that they pull a Vision and kick Moxley out of the group for basically showing that he's basically a wuss?
Dude, I mean, I wouldn't mind. That would be the best thing AEW's done in a minute, is if his own group were like, John, you've been a real bitch lately. Like, go take a vacation that you've always talked about but never have actually gone on.
I'm not even joking that John Moxley deciding to take anything of a leave of absence / vacation would be like a top 5 wrestling storyline to me. Like at the time being like, wow, he did it. Like he climbed that mountain and finally took some family time. But yeah,
you guys aren't old enough for this, but remember when Shawn Michaels gave Sid the night off because the night before he cost him the title with Diesel, and then Sid was his bodyguard, and then he powerbombed him 4 times. That's when Michaels became face. Like, I'll have to show you that video. It's pretty funny. Like,
Yeah, I want to see that for sure. It sounds like classic.
Did you
Michael.
guys? I put it in the chat, so you must have saw it. Renee Moxley, Paxley's whatever name is these days. Renee's promo essentially on the pre-show, where she was basically
really
headed
good.
up to here with all of Moxley's BS with these hardcore matches and putting her and their daughter through everything. Go home, take a vacation, spend some time with your daughter. Stop trying to kill yourself and bleed out every other pay-per-view or whatever.
Agreed.
It'd be good for
You know what would be good storyline progression is if Renee Paquette just goes, I'm going to be the most hardcore woman wrestler like of all time. Like just so you can know how it feels. Just so you can know how it feels when I'm getting barbed wired.
Imagine if she came in during the I Quit match and was like, John, unless you say I quit, I have the divorce papers right here. I will sign. Oh.
The fantasy booking here is out of control.
Take that fantasy booking shit somewhere.
Yep.
Fair
And
enough.
speaking
Only
of
time
booking
I'll
with
give it to
integrity, which values talent and ability as well as reach. Saddle up, boys. 12 belt celebration tonight.
I think we got a belt celebration like in their
Ernie, do you
Chicago
have your
residency,
DVR
and nothing
set?
happened there.
Hold on. I'm going to say what I have to say, but I'm going to mute myself because people don't want to hear it, okay?
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this.
If you're on the audio side, he's basically
any lip
putting out
readers
curses and obscenities.
Any lip readers?
Okay,
epithets.
I'm done.
It's very interesting to put one belt on someone. That's what I would say. Like, right? Like you have any, performer, superstar. To put 12 is something. And especially to be like the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th. Like, it's very interesting. So we'll have the 12 belt celebration. Where do you guys think this is going to rank all time in celebrations? Do you think this will beat the Punjabi Championship celebration by Jinder Mahal in 2017?
As long as Mercedes doesn't just keep the segment to herself. Like I said, she had a belt celebration in the Chicago residency, and basically nothing happened. No one came out, interrupted her. I think we're going to get an interruption from a certain other world champion, someone who has an actual world championship tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, if you don't think she's getting some kind of come up in this segment or some kind of like negative thing is happening to her, you have not watched wrestling for sure.
Let me put this question to you guys. Where do you think the end game is now that Mercedes is getting another world title shot? Do they put that belt on her and make her 13 belt Monet and have her be the world champion with all these other titles that she's eventually going to have to lose at some point? Or do they have some sort of storyline where, yeah, you can win all these other titles, but you're not winning the one title that would absolutely justify you as being the best wrestler, women's wrestler, in AEW, if not the world. And then she has to have some kind of self-doubt reflection post angle going for her. And then maybe she starts losing all these belts in the aftermath, in the months aftermath, and then maybe if that gets over, I would book her to win the Owen next year, and then have a rematch for the world title, and then she gets to be one belt Monet, but world title Monet. How does that strike you?
I kind of feel like she won like the NBA mid-season championship thing, that stupid tournament that they have now. You know what I'm saying? I do like that angle. Like, hey, you got all these belts, but this is the only one that matters and you can't win it. That'd be like a really good out for this. Like, I don't like anybody having like multiple singles championships. I don't even like Dirty Dom having those 2 belts he has right now. It's not like a Mercedes Moné thing in general. I just don't like, someone having 2 belts. It makes no sense. I don't like it. I just don't like it at all.
I just hope that they announce like the time slot before the show so we can all let Talbot know what time this is going to be airing, because I'm pretty sure he has other obligations. No, he'll get back to that.
Want to make sure he's tuning in. I would like both options of what you said, though, Parthy. I like either. I think that she could win the AEW title, and I think after she won the AEW title, she can then lose all the 12 other belts back to the respective things. And it could kind of.
Do you think Tony Khan is going to allow his world women's champion to just drop all these belts to all these other indie promotions? They have to book like 13 triple threat matches. So just like she dropped the New Japan Women's Strong title.
I think
a dozen triple threat matches.
For the business.
I think she's going to have the AEW World. Actually, it's hard to say. If she does win it, I think she will slowly start to lose the 12.
That's
But,
what,
like,
and then she's
it's
gonna
not
get
gonna-
down. The only one she has left
It's
is the
not going to be
AEW
like
title.
every week, but by the time she has the one left, like Maniac said, she's going to be a full blown insecure psycho.
Exactly.
And
You
it'll
guys
probably
remember,
and it'll probably lead to her putting over someone else even more big time.
I can't see her losing any of those belts before she loses a world title belt if she gets in the first place.
do you guys remember that WrestleMania where it was a triple threat match for Angle had like I think the European title and the Intercontinental title, and he wrestled I think it was Jericho and name redacted, and it was a triple threat match for both titles, and like each guy beat each other for the title, and then Angle didn't lose either of them on his own. I think they can do some kind of angle like that.
Yeah, but then again, that's a triple threat match, just like she lost the strong title. But you'd have to do a dozen of those, or have a dozen competitors in one match, where it's like one fall you win this title, but they can't. These are all independent promotions across the world. Even they can't do that.
Partham, they are proud to have her as their champion, but they can't be proud for a full year. She's got to lose them at some point. It's not like she can be there every week.
I agree, and that's why it's a little silly to have all these titles in the first place, because you got to lose them eventually at some point. You got to make all these follow-up
There's
dates.
a bigger picture in place, Partham.
But I just can't see her losing any of these, indie promotion titles if she's the AEW World Champion. Tony would not allow that. She can lose him as a TBS champion, and if she doesn't take a pinfall. But again, you have to book
that's what
that
happens. Maybe Stat beats
times
her,
over.
and then she loses all of these, and then finally gets
that would make the most sense, unless she's going to be holding on to these other belts for over a year if they'll let her.
Well, when Goldberg beat Hogan, he was a U.S. title holder, and then he dropped the U.S. title because then maybe they're going to do that. She wins the world title and she drops everything else.
Yo, that would be so funny actually if she won the world title and she was like, "Fuck these other companies! Like, I don't need these belts. I'm vacating all of them."
It would be an easy way to do it, but it would be a cheap way to do it too.
I mean, dude, that's heel heat 101. That would be amazing. You guys already hate her guts, it seems. So
it'll be very interesting.
that would just add the fire.
Any final thoughts before we sign off here on Wrestling with Emotion?
No.
I would expect a Hangman to get involved in this Trios Championship match. I think he wants to hurt people too. Not join the Hurt Syndicate, but I think he might want to help him out.
That would be sick. A Hurt Syndicate remixed with Adam Page's.
Okay, that would be radical, but yeah.
Oh my goodness,
that would cook. Yeah,
that'd be hard.
But hey, speaking of cooking, that's exactly what we did. Our panel: Michael J. Partham, the voice of reason, Ernie Green, Slick Saturday, and myself. Make sure that you're always subscribing to Trainwreck Sports for more Wrestle with Emotion. Of course, make sure you're making Batavia Downs your premier entertainment destination, because that's exactly what it is, the premier region's entertainment destination. Keep your destination on Dynamite later tonight, SmackDown on Friday, and remember that this is not the show where it's wrestling with your budget. This is not the show where it's wrestling with your conscience. This is Wrestling with Emotion.